and like night you see like them going through the cruelty and like being transported and like going through these towns, and there's like no resistance. They're just sitting there watching. Versus in the hiding place, you get a different form, so you get the resistance, and it's not just violence. You don't take them in hiding and then practicing their religion, and you don't see that as much in night really.
Speaking about the resilience thing, I forgot who did the presentation on resilience, but I remember them talking about how it could be like religious resilience or physical or whatever.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought the hiding place did a much better job of showing the religious resilience, because Knight talked about how people would say like the Jewish prayers and everything, especially the death prayer like before they died, which is weird. But I think Corey and Betsy showed like a lot of resilience, because they would preach and have Bible studies and like talk to even the Nazi officers about God, when it's honestly risking your life to do that.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I think it's also just hard for like Ellie's experience and other like death camp experiences to talk about resistance when like they installed other Jews as like guards basically. So it's like you're facing your
own kind.
Yeah. And it's hard to resist against that because it's kind of internal.
It's probably hard to be that Jew too, to be the like, chosen out of all the people that were brought here to be in charge of these guys. Because if you fail at your job, you're just as likely to die as everyone you're in charge of.
It's kind of like, I'm pretty sure it's like kind of early on in night when he's talking to one of the Jews, and he's talking about how he had to put his dad in the crematorium before. So
yeah. And then just like overall from these two books, learning about the Holocaust, we learned about the life in the camps and different camps and prison, and but like from the presentations we saw and from what Professor Tucker taught us in class or showed us, the Nazis really mastered the science of just killing a ton of people at a time, and with the experiments.
Resistance too.
Yeah, exactly. They had resistance, but with like Dr. Mengele's experiments and mastering the gas chambers, I think was a big thing for their success with their horrific plan. And unfortunately, there were too many bystanders that didn't do nothing, or that did nothing that possibly could have done something to liberate these camps earlier, so not as many people would have died.
I think the hiding place kind of showed why there wasn't as much resistance though, because there was that chapter when it was on the occupation before they started like enforcing their laws, but it talked about how they like took all the radios and phones and everything to where the only thing everyone heard was the Nazi rhetoric saying Jews are this, Jews are that, this is what you should believe, don't support the elderly. So I think after that's installed in your brain so often, you don't agree with it, but like you don't fight it.
Yeah, there's definitely a scare factor to stand up against that kind of thing when you see 6 million Jews in your home country or more just getting taken to those camps.
that's what's so impressive about Corey's dad when he gets the chance. He doesn't take it.
That was one of my quotes from it, when he was like, if I go home today, tomorrow I will open my door again to any man in need of help.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I ain't gonna lie, I would not have said that.
I don't know
I
many
would have
people
been
that
like,
way.
yes sir, take me home.
I mean, I guess at that point though, he is.
Like 10 days away from dying.
Yeah, he's getting towards the end of his life, so.
And then just finally overall, like the biggest thing I took away from Night that you can take away from both books was just the resilience of the characters, like you were saying, and the mental toughness to just get through the day every day and be able to, finally see that day where you get liberated. It's, kind of rewarding when you're reading it and you get to that point in the book and they finally, something good goes their way. It's pretty cool to see. But and then like personally, Ellie, like I really liked how Ellie didn't like take credit for, you know, he stayed very humble after his experience in the Holocaust, and he still felt like he was lucky to make it through. He wasn't, you know, anything special, but he was able to just consistently kind of be in the middle of the pack and not make a name for himself, and ended up working out for him.
It's kind of like what we talked about in class with the what was it called, the survivor's guilt.
Yeah, survivor's guilt.
Yeah, because like how Corey got out, but like she wasn't as religious as like her sister, so she thought she shouldn't make it.
Yeah.
To me, overall, I just felt like I interacted more with Knight just because it focused on the action. Like from chapter 1 or chapter 2, he was in the concentration camp, and throughout the story, he was there with his father. And then I guess in the hiding place, it was more like I remember chapter 8 or chapter 9, maybe chapter 10, where through 14, where they were actually in the camps, experiencing these things. I just felt like that was one key thing to me that added a lot more popularity tonight, that it was the actual like living experience through these camps.
Yeah. I also, like, not even talking about like what the book is saying, but in terms of popularity, Knight has so many copies sold in part because it's in middle and high school curriculum.
Exactly.
When I don't believe the hiding place is like
Right.
in a large area at least. And I think part of it is you can give Knight to pretty much an 8th grader to 12th grader, and they'd be able to read it and understand all of it. Where I don't think you can give the hiding place to every 8th grader in the country and they'd be like, oh yeah, I understand everything that's going on, and stay interested for the entire book. I think it's truly a book for college kids or upper level high school kids.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, because I pretty much said the same thing, but also if you're wanting to teach about the Holocaust, it'd be a lot better to teach from like the Jewish perspective as opposed to the Christian,
Yeah.
because it's
Auschwitz, which is like the number
Yeah.
one known camp.
because I mean, if I was a teacher trying to teach about the Holocaust, I feel like Knight is a pretty good example of what it would be like. And also, like, Ellie got a ton more awards after. Like, he got the Nobel Peace Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Opened the Holocaust Museum.
Yeah, opened the Holocaust Museum. And, like, Corey did get a lot, but not to that level.
She traveled a lot more though.
Yeah.
Like she focused on trying to help people versus like push knowledge, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that kind of goes exactly along with her book.
Yeah.
Trying to help people.
Like to your point of like how much work and how many awards Ellie got after is like living through the experience. Like I think he got involved with like the United Nations and like trying to establish the International Court of Justice to like prosecute like the Nazis. And also, I think this is in his Nobel Peace Prize speech, but he like just to like emphasize his own point of like protecting peace, preventing like further future genocides. He says, quote, "Indifference, after all, is more dangerous than anger and hatred. To not respond to their plight is to exile them from human memory, and in denying their humanity, we betray our own." End quote. And that just like that is a call out for people. Like, do not be indifferent. Do not ignore people. That is, you're basically stooping down to like the perpetrator's level.
Yeah.
All right. I think we pretty much covered everything. I think
Are we at the time?
Does anyone have
Anything else?
I don't know.
I think we're all good.
Alrighty.
Good.